for anybody else, or are we just gonna jump
Yeah,
right into this?
that's better.
We'll just jump right in? Okay, we can do that. Welcome. You know my name because you just heard me talk for a while. Come on.
Thank you, thank you,
You've got
thank
seats
you.
over here. You've got seats. You know my name, you just met me. Chair of the Spirituality Committee for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Ontario Region. What you see in its initials as the ONRC. And serving on the committee, my co-committee members, are these two gentlemen. This is Deacon John Girolami. He belongs to, trying to remember the name of his conference in, why are you throwing these things?
We can Baker here.
Here. Deacon John is from Stony Creek, Ontario, and he's been generous enough to serve on this, and he serves on lots of things for the Ontario region. And this here, my buddy, who you also heard this morning, is Deacon Gord Jenkinson. He is from Val-d'Or. Valcarry.
You got the Val part right.
Yeah, the Val part. Valcarry. I was there once. I was trying to find Sudbury Saturday night, and it wasn't there. Yeah, he's on the outskirts of Sudbury. I thought we might party, but we didn't. These gentlemen are in this thing with me, and we welcome you. We are so happy that you're here, and we thank God for you. We ask His blessing on you and on all the good that you do. We're going to talk to you briefly. Please come on in. We're glad to come in.
I'm sorry, I came for pictures.
You came for pictures. Go ahead. Smile, guys. Where was I? Oh, we're going to talk to you briefly, each one of us, about something to do with this. Then we're going to break open the books. If you were at the Toronto Spring Meeting, I hope you got a taste of wanting the book. Yes. Yeah, there's some people here who just came because I want the book. So we're going to do that. This will be very low-key. We invite your participation. We want to hear from you. It's a shared thing, okay? Okay. So, gentlemen, who's going first?
I'll jump in. Why not?
Okay. There goes Gord.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I wondered what I would speak about, and the first thing that came to mind was that we have a lot to be grateful for. And the story of Lazarus this morning really brings that gratitude to the fore. When we think about the poor that we encounter, our journey with the poor, and how they've always been there. Lazarus is always there. Christ says of the poor, they will always be with us. And some people are using that as an excuse to say, well, we don't have to do anything because they'll always be with us. And that's not our response. Our response is to see Christ in the poor. So our true call as Christians and as Vincentians is not just to help the poor, but to become more holy. And it's always good for us to remember those people in our lives who mirror the holiness of our founders. Now, you probably had somebody pop into your head at that moment, didn't you? Somebody who said, oh, I know who he's talking about. He's talking about my uncle, or he's talking about my mother, or he's talking about someone in my family. Take a moment to remember someone on your journey, in your past, who embodied unconditional love in your life, because we follow a Christ who loves us unconditionally. He says, I made you, I don't make junk, I like you a lot, I love you, I think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that's the God we follow. That's the one who says, you are unique, you're beautiful, I love you. And I want you to follow me and see that in the people that you encounter. You know, it might be a family member that came to mind right away. Someone who glows in the spirit of the Holy Spirit. Or a friend, someone who's the heart of kindness. Someone who, when you think of the word kindness, their picture comes up. So have you pictured that person? Who's that person for you?
Charlene Renton, a friend.
Charlene Renton, a friend. Well, what makes her that person for you, the unconditional lover?
Because as a Vincentian, I know that I'm supposed to also be able to lean on my fellow Vincentians in time of need, but I don't do that well. And Charlene is just someone that sees the situation, knows what needs to be offered, and offers it. She gave me her house.
Wow.
She gave me her house to stay in while I was convalescing. And
Awesome.
I mean, she didn't do a police check on me or anything.
No CPAC?
I guess she knew I already had my police check done since
It's
I'm
on
a
file
Vincentian.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, she just,
Wonderful.
kindness,
Kindness.
kindness.
I think be kind is the major thing that we need to do. And that puts judgment in the back seat. Because the judgment tape is always running. It's always running in my mind, and I keep trying to get behind me, Satan, get behind me, Satan. But I'm not always able to do that. Not always able to suspend judgment and allow Christ to be seen in the person and for me to see Christ in that person. I'm grateful when it happens, and that's the kind of gratitude that we need to focus on. Is our gratitude that comes out of our home visits, that comes out of how we encounter the people that we come to see as the poor, the needy. The person that comes to mind for me is my Uncle Rolly. My Uncle Rolly, he taught me a lot of things. He was a Finnish carpenter. He was a marvelous craftsman, but he was not a perfectionist. And every now and again, things did not come out the way he planned them. But I remember my Uncle Rolly, just before we left to go to Europe, my dad was in the Air Force, and we were going overseas. And we knew we were going to be gone for 4 years, and we were not going to have any time to encounter all of our family and relatives. And they all came, and my Uncle Rolly was right in the front row. And I remember the tears streaming down his face as the first man I ever saw cry. So what did I learn from my Uncle Rolly? I learned tenderness. I learned that you can be manly and show your emotions. That you can be strong and cry. That you can be a person who loves others. And that parting is sad, and yet the reuniting is even more joyful because of that parting. So in Uncle Rolly, I learned all of those things about unconditional love. So when you think of someone like that, the other person I thought of was Sister Frederica. Sister Frederica was a little dynamo. And our house that's beside our thrift store is named Sister Frederica Harvest House. And we call her Sister Freddie. She was flying along the back roads in her Corolla in second gear. She never got into second gear. I said, Freddie, you're killing this car. What are those other numbers for? I don't know. She would be screaming along in second gear, and I would always bless myself before I came to a crossing because she never even looked. Uncontrolled crossing, Freddie zapped right through there in second gear. I thought, wow. There's no third for Freddie. There was no third, no fourth. I almost reached over one time and she slapped my hand. But Freddie was so in love with God and so in love with the Lord that she just completely spent herself every day in His service. So you'd see Freddie in Mass. She would be just completely gone. And I'd say, look, Freddie's resting in the Spirit. Look at that. No, I think she's snoring. But But she was a wonderful lady, and her picture is up in the window of the little house where we do the soups on, and we do the welcoming, and we do the interviews, and we do all of those kinds of things where we are the face of Christ to the poor. Now her friends from the Sisters of St. Joseph all came when we blessed the house, and we had a lady from the native population come in and smudge, and we had the ladies from the St. Joseph's sisterhood come and bless this house and bless her memory. And I know that she was smiling on the day that that occurred because she had passed back in 1985, I think, or a long time ago. But anyway, and I remember her always, you could not say no to Freddie. Gordy, we're gonna go deliver a fridge and a stove. Okay. Can I use your van? Sure. Because you knew that what she was doing was the will of God. That she was so in love with the providence of God that she would just absolutely pull you in. And I think it's that winsomeness that is, it's a word we don't even use anymore, is it? But think of what that word says, winsome. We win some people for Christ's family when we draw them in because we are compelled to help the poor. And when we're compelled, that's contagious. Other people look at that and go, I get it. I get it. And so we need to be grateful for service. We need to be grateful for an opportunity to be Christ's ambassadors. We need to remember that we stand on the shoulders of humble giants. We stand on the shoulders of our founders. And their words become our strength. We're continually called to action by our founder, Frederick, who said we must feel the cold. Not talk about the cold. We must feel the cold and learn from them the causes of their woes. We look at the words of Sister Rosalie, who encourages us to not sit passively by, but to hunt down poverty. I'm a hunter. I know what hunting down is all about. Hunt down poverty in order to give humanity its dignity. And our founder as well, St. Vincent, who said the poor look on us as people sent by God to help them. That's how they picture us. We are intended to represent the goodness of God in the eyes of the poor. And I'll end with a word from St. Louise de Marillac, who echoes our mission statement in her words. Continue to serve the poor with great meekness, respect, cordiality, always seeing God in them. Amen.
Thank you, Gordy. I'm going to call him Gordy from now on when I want him to do stuff.
Works for me?
He's got a big truck.
And now Deacon John's going to enlighten us with some words about...
We're going to talk about the spirituality of a Vincentian. And we have a different perspective on life because we're part of the Catholic Church. We're part of the Catholic faith. You know, we can go and join any club we want to join. You can join, you know, the men can join a Rotary Club or Kinsmen, but they're not faith-based organizations. I currently signed up to help out with a bereavement program that the bishop's been encouraging me to help out with bereavement across the whole city now. So I joined a bereavement group, and we were told not to talk about God.